Okay. Hopefully, I'm live now. Hopefully, you guys can see me. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Welcome back, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. We're going to be doing a Switch 2 stream tonight. Because you know what? We just got the big announcement last week, and I know we talked about it a couple of times because I've streamed since then. But I do think we need to do a dedicated episode tonight to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we are still going to be doing new games of the week as we do every time in the Warp Zone towards the end. But I do think that basically tonight, we're not really going to look at any other major stories. We're going to be focusing on Nintendo Switch 2. And yes, I'm late. I know I'm late, okay? I know I'm late. Unfortunately, I hooked my main camera. Like, literally, I was going to press the live button, and I went to grab something under my desk, and I hit the wire for my main camera. So, unfortunately, I had to sort of shut down OBS, replug my camera in, redo my camera settings. It was a horrendous, like, it was like the worst possible time for that to happen. So that's basically why I was like 5 or 7 minutes late. I was like panicking with like 3 minutes to go. And I think I messed up my close-up cam. Like the Topaz cam is fine, but the other one, oh no, it's working. Nice. I managed to save both of them. I was worried that I was gonna have like all my settings messed up, but no. We good. So yeah, guys, are you guys disappointed in the Nintendo Switch 2? I don't know, because a lot of people seem to be. Am I one of those people? Well, I guess that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. That's what we are going to talk about tonight. Now, basically the plan, honestly, is to go over like everything we know about the Nintendo Switch 2 so far. That has been, like, mainly we're going to look at the trailer, and I know I did a video on it, but since then, more things have happened, and basically that's what I want to talk about tonight. And at the same time, I want this to be a discussion. So if you guys are having questions, if you have some wild ideas about what you think the second USB plug might be, because I came up with a lot of ideas for that second USB plug. And personally, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you already know if I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is a disappointment or not. I've tried to be pretty vocal on Twitter lately. I'm not super good though at like, trying to put people down or opinions or whatnot, but I've been trying to, be more active on X lately. I'm saying Twitter, but I guess it's X now. And basically, we're going to talk about that tonight because I do think that people really have to look at themselves and I mean, if you remain disappointed, you can be disappointed. You can be disappointed. I just think that we have to start realizing that where we live in a world where everyone wants everything leaked ahead of time and then we don't get surprised. Well, maybe we should stop living in a world where we're trying to leak everything. And either way, I think that currently to say you're disappointed with the Nintendo Switch 2 is very early on. Very, very early. But like I said, we're going to get into that. First of all, I want to go back through the trailer. I want to go back through everything we saw for anyone who didn't see the original video. But we're going to also probably take more time to go even more in depth with each and everything. We're going to talk about points of failure that, to be honest, I'm not sure is as big a thing as people are making it out to be. By the way, I also did put my name in the hat to get a ticket to the Nintendo Switch 2 experience. So I might be able to give you some ideas of hand-on experience if I am selected as one of the people. I will do the 12-hour drive back and forth to Toronto to try out the Nintendo Switch 2. So I think we're gonna have a fun night of going through everything so far in the Nintendo Switch 2, and we have a lot to talk about. I think we have a lot to talk about. And yes, and I think there are a lot of, and there's also like, the more I keep thinking about, like, you guys, like, people are asking for something crazy. I think they're forgetting the one of the best things that Nintendo did, which is full retro compatibility. And outside of the Game Boy, this is one of the first ever times Nintendo is doing like a fully retro compatible console without anything that you need to purchase outside of it. If you think of all Nintendo's history, the SNES didn't play the NES games. After that, the GameCube and Nintendo 64 didn't play SNES games. The GameCube definitely couldn't play Nintendo 64 games. Like, the only time we ever had Nintendo come out with a retro compatible console was portables, going from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advanced, and then like Advanced to DS. But at that point, they started cutting out, like, you had previous gen backwards compatibility. You're right. The Wii could play GameCube games. You are right. You are right. I'll take that as a point. You are right. The Wii could play GameCube games, but a lot of people didn't know that, and a lot of people didn't use it. But you're right. You're right. I'll give you that. I will give you that one. So we're looking at the maybe second console in history then, when we're talking about a home console that will be retro compatible. And I think also what I think people forget is that if Nintendo went too crazy with their new design, we could have possibly lost retro compatibility. Because if you go too crazy with your design, you're going to lose that compatibility, or you're maybe not going to receive full compatibility for the games, or you're going to have diminished compatibility depending on what they would have tried to do with their new console. So I do think we have to take everything with a grain of salt. And yeah, I do think they were safe to play it smart, and I'm going to call it right now. You guys can clip it. You guys can do whatever you want. And this will sort of answer the question if I'm disappointed in Nintendo Switch 2. I think this will be Nintendo's PlayStation 2. Even though the console, the first Switch, has already beaten and become the best-selling console of all time, I'm calling it now. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to beat it. I do think the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to beat it. And I think that this is going to be the PlayStation 2 of Nintendo. This is going to be the console that will bridge the gap between more casual Nintendo fans and people looking for a console to play, like, let's say, AAA games on. Because I do think it's going to be powerful enough to get versions of a lot of the AAA games that Nintendo has been missing out because the Switch was underpowered. There's also one really big, but that's what I think. Yeah, I said that the handhelds were another thing. Oh, don't worry about Matubitu. We're here to talk. No one has to be worried. No one's gonna get angry. Unless, I don't know, unless you piss me off, then you get banned. No, I'm joking. I hardly ever ban anyone unless someone's being like a total dick. I am getting Halo. Yeah, I'm getting Halo, of course. Why wouldn't I get Halo? Of course. Halo would automatically be there. And that's it. I think people are also forgetting what this console is doing. And like I said, I have some crazy ideas about that second USB plug. And like I said, I'm not saying this is what's happening, but I'm saying that I have some crazy ideas. Okay. So let's get into stuff, and I'm gonna pop this up as a background. I'll just have the trailer like looping for the Nintendo Switch 2. That way, it's gonna give you guys a little bit of a background, and as we talk about stuff, I can I'll probably pause it from time to time to talk about specific elements from the trailer. But we'll most likely be looking at other stuff than just the trailer as well. But let's give ourselves some kind of visual distraction other than my beautiful face. You know, I know a lot of people will be disappointed, but you guys will have the trailer in the background. Okay. So, okay. First of all, we're gonna go over I want to sort of do a retroaction because I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to sound like full of myself, but I'll be honest, I was pretty good on the predictions for the Switch 2. If we go back to September, if you remember, I said that two things were going to happen. The Switch 2 was going to get announced before the end of the year, or they were going to tell us whether the system would be retro compatible. And what happened? Right before Christmas, they told us the system was going to be retro compatible. Point to me. After that, if you guys remember, once that was announced, I said, I bet you in the very beginning of the year, we're gonna get basic knowledge of what the console's all about. And we got it. And so I've been, like, I know that doesn't seem major, but it is a pretty big deal that they did that way. And I'm going to really just burst a lot of people's bubbles right now. Everything Nintendo did is zero for the fans. Every move that Nintendo's made about the console is a pure business perspective. Okay? And the reason why I'm saying that is just because I want you to understand that if you guys want to be able to predict what Nintendo's going to do, we have to stop looking at it from pleasing the fan perspective and look at it from a business perspective. And I do know that Nintendo, with the amount of sales and uncertainty they had before the holidays, they needed to lock people in whether it was worth purchasing the games from the holiday season. Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people were shitting on Nintendo games more than ever before, right before the holidays, saying that Donkey Kong wasn't going to be worth it, saying that, Echoes of Wisdom was a weak Zelda, and blah, blah, blah. So what did they do? They squashed that by saying the system's retro-compatible. They gave people security that you can invest in the Nintendo products and everything's going to be great. And if you're going to, I'm going to say something else. This is most likely going to be, if you think about the Nintendo Switch family now, we have never had access to this many Nintendo games of all eras. Oh my God, Grovel. You're about to get banned. You are about to get banned for that one. Echo was a weak Zelda. Echo is my favorite Zelda from the Switch era. I over Tears of the Kingdom. Is it better? No. Is it my favorite though? Yes. There's a difference between better and favorite. I can argue that Tears of the Kingdom is arguably like a better Zelda because of the technical achievements that they've made and whatnot. But if you're asking me which is my favorite one, it is Echoes. But I'm just going to say, if you think about it, never have we had access on one console legally to this many generation of Nintendo games. We have a huge library of NES games. We have a decent library of SNES games. We're getting a growing library of Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, and Game Boy Color games. We're getting a library of N64 games. And I would say most of the landmark titles from, I would say, the last 15 years have been either ported or remade on the Switch. A lot of the landmark titles. Of course, we're missing like Prime 2, Prime 3. We can find a list of games we're missing. But I do think that the Switch family is now the way to go. I think that Nintendo struck gold with what they need to do with their consoles. And that doesn't mean that they can't do side consoles that will be crazy ones. You never know. Nintendo could launch a little side console that would be very like funky and whatnot, separate from this. The USB-C plug at the top could be for a VR attachment. Guys thought about that? And if you think about it, the difference between that attachment and let's say PSVR is that the Switch itself is portable. You could have like a belt attachment with the Switch on it, with a headset that does the VR, that has processing power so that the Switch doesn't do all the heavy lifting. If you think about it, that could be one of the things that new USB plug is for. Crazy ideas are coming out. Don't forget, guys, crazy ideas. So the fact that people are like, Nintendo hasn't innovated with this console, this trailer wasn't to talk about the innovations. The April Direct or presentation is going to be to talk about the innovations. This was marketing. And that's where I want to say I'm going to burst people's bubble. Do you think that they did the reveal trailer because they're sick of fans asking them about the Switch 2? Zero reason why they put this out. This was so that partners can announce their games. This was so that partners can actually use the real name of the system. Yes, Canadian Chick, thank you so much. And so that investors know what to look for. Now you're going to say Nintendo dipped after they announced the Switch 2. We're going to look at that later because that is true and it's also not true. Okay? It's true and it's not true. And don't forget, we're in January. Okay? I know it sounds stupid, but a lot of stocks dip in January. Okay? It's just like that. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean every stock, and I'm not gonna look. This is I'm giving the warning right now. This is not a financial advice stream. Okay, you cannot sue me because this is not financial advice. But we are going to be looking at that famous dip that happened. The original Joy-Cons are trash. I would agree. But we're gonna talk. We're gonna, like I said, we're getting there. But I just wanted to set the stage and say this announcement was for the investors and the partners so that actual other teams can get their marketing going. Okay? Because right now, Rick told us put our money in crypto. Yeah, go buy the Trump coin. That sounds like a super good plan. Go buy the Trump coin, guys. We're not going to get into the Trump coin. I should have never said that because if we get into the Trump coin, I might actually flip out a bit. I know it's already crashed. Don't worry. I know it's already crashed. Exactly. No, it's not worth it. Like, congrats to, 47th president of the United States. He was voted in, all that. I've said it before on the stream. I'm a Canadian. I have nothing to say about who U.S. chooses their leaders. I hope things keep going well between our two countries, blah, blah, blah. I hope that the tariffs that Trump seemed so crazy about realizes that it's going to actually increase the price of products for U.S. citizens as well. Because the manufacturers are just going to pass off the costs to the consumers. So I hope that they realize that and that it sort of balances out in the end. But look, we'll see what time happens. I'm not a political guy. Okay. Yeah, I know February 1st tariffs, but I mean, we'll see. I don't want to, we've already went further than I want to go on that. we've already went way too far in that. We're not going to talk about that. We'll see how things go, and things will go the way they go, and things will reverse course when they reverse course, and if it happens, and that's all it is. Like it's no, like the worst is like it's not going to really affect Canadians that much. Because the tariffs are for stuff going to the US, not for stuff coming from the US to Canada. So our stuff isn't going to get more expensive, but the companies are going to start selling stuff more expensive to make up the tariffs that they have to pay. Like, there's a reason why, oh my God, no, we're getting too far into it. Okay, I'm stopping now. I'm stopping. Yes. I'm stopping. It's useless. It's useless. I'm not gonna give a finance course here, and either way, I'm not in a place where I feel I would have the authority to do a finance course anyway. The Switch 2 might cost more in the US than it costs in Canada. If those tariffs are in place, that's the last thing I'm going to say because it has to do with Nintendo. For the first time ever, the console might actually sell more for more in the US than it sells in Canada. Because the price of the tariffs are going to be... The Switch wasn't manufactured in the US. So the price of the tariffs are going to be factored into the price of the console. If you look at every country that tariffs, that's how it works. That's the last thing I'm going to say about that. So it's going to be more expensive. But yeah. So either way, and that's another thing I want to say about, guys, stop watching the price leak videos. Please stop watching them. You can watch them if you want, but I'm telling you right now, I was wondering where it was going to go now that the console is out. Where were the leak videos going to go? And now they've gone to the price leak videos. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, Nintendo might not know what the price is going to be. Just crazy thoughts here. They can still adjust the price of the console till they announce it on April 2nd. And the very week before it gets announced, Nintendo could decide that they're going to change the price of it because something in the market has shifted. Production costs have changed. Okay? If you guys want to watch the price leak videos, watch them. But right now, trying to get a price leak on the Switch, most likely even Nintendo hasn't decided what their final price for the Switch is going to be. And any other console announced between now and April 2nd could actually affect the price of the Switch 2. Okay? So just want to let you guys know, you can keep watching the leak videos, but I guarantee you, if you've ever worked for a company that makes products like this, that has to manufacture them, ship them, and sell them, they have not decided on the final price yet. They probably have a ballpark idea, but they have not decided on the final price. I can almost guarantee it. Because there's no reason for them to do that. Deciding on the price of the console is probably one of the last things they need to do from a marketing strategy perspective. Like I said, they have a ballpark idea. They know production costs. They know all that stuff. So they have a ballpark that they have to place it between this price and this price. However, the final price is probably not even decided. So to watch leak videos on the price right now is like a bit useless. And if I was Nintendo and I was fed up of the leaks, I would be putting out fake documents with fake prices to all kinds of different sources just to waste everyone's time and waste everyone's basically knowledge. Yeah, it's a waste of time. Like, you guys can, like I said, watch them if you will. Waste of time. Total waste of time. I haven't watched one of them yet because it's probably not even decided on Nintendo's end. Okay? When Sony came out with the famous price for the what was it for the PS, was it the PS2? Like, they came out on stage and they dropped the price and it was like, that could have been decided 30 minutes before the presentation. and they said, you know what, we're gonna give the middle finger to Xbox. Goes up the chain. Are you good with that? We're good with that. We're gonna take a loss. We're all good. Comes back down the chain. Comes out on stage. Says, yeah, it's gonna be $200. What? It could be, guys. Okay, that's the way it is. Okay, now that we have that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the fun stuff. Okay, let's actually talk about the fun stuff. So, numero uno. And now I'm going to grab parts of the trailer. Where's the bigger screen? Where do we see? Wait, the screen grows first. Okay. Oh, damn. I guess I have to pause it before doing that. Okay. First of all, bigger screen. 8-inch screen, if I'm not mistaken, by the specs that were out there. They aren't official Nintendo specs. But if we look at the size of the screen based on the size of the original Switch, 8 inches sounds like about where they're going to. One thing, though, I do want to mention, you can clearly see here that there are the return of bezels. Okay, that was guaranteed to happen, at least with the current design on this Switch, because the Joy-Cons are entering behind the screen. The part where the screen is here, as you can see, the bezels are bigger on the sides than they are at the top here, okay? Because that's where the Joy-Cons are going to log in, and basically the panel needs the space, okay? It will most likely be heavier. It will most likely be heavier as well, but probably by not as much as you're expecting. Probably by not as much as you're expecting. So, bigger screen, 8 inches. I know a lot of people are complaining between the LED and the OLED. Personally, I do think it will be a smart move for Nintendo to launch with an LCD. Okay? Is it what I would want? No. But if Nintendo can cut the price down by $50, and yes, we're talking about pricing, but we're just talking about overall pricing. If Nintendo can offer the console at its launch for $50 cheaper with no OLED, they're better off. If Nintendo is A1 on their game, they would launch right away with an LCD and an OLED for those who want it. However, because it is so difficult to manufacture consoles and have enough of them, I do not think they will do it, because it will create an inequality in the market where one model will definitely outsell the other, and basically you're going to stay stuck with one Switch and not the other. So it is not a, oh, this would be cool to have perspective. It is just from a logical manufacturing perspective. To manufacture 2 different Switches for a brand new console would be very difficult. Okay. Same Xbox, Series S, Series X. You had Series S's all over. The X was super hard to find. PlayStation fixed that problem by manufacturing the exact same console twice and just selling the disc attachment as a part of the original PS5. So that's how they solved that issue. The disc drive that they decided to not include in the other PS5, the base PS5 model is the same. It's just a separate unit that attaches to it. Okay. However, having a different screen is going to be a different issue. So I know I'm going to burst a lot of people's bubble, but if the base screen is not OLED, the chance that we're going to get an OLED is super, super low. Okay? If we're just looking at this from a logical manufacturing perspective, and the fact that Nintendo wants 20 million of these units for the first year, I don't see them splitting this 10 million to one kind, 10 million to another, or 15.5 or whatnot. Okay? I just don't see it happening from a logical perspective. Now let's move on to this. After the screen, the texture being actually a texturized texture rather than the even finish on the Switch, I think is going to be very interesting. And I think it's going to give it a more premium feeling to the console. I do. And I really think that it's going to be a bigger change than people think to the overall perception of the console from the exterior. Like, I think touching the console, holding the console is going to end up being a more pleasant experience thanks to this. You don't use handheld. Exactly. And that's what I was going to, and that's another perspective. Nintendo has to not forget that not everyone is using the console in handheld on a regular basis, meaning that the OLED is going to be an upgrade for some people, but not necessarily an upgrade for everybody. No, I think well, plastic, it's going to probably be like a, closer to what you call it, what the bulletproof vests are made out of. I do think I do. If they go with, like, I think they would go with a. My God, I have a blank on the word. Kevlar, yeah, like, but like not Kevlar, like a mix where it's basically you're using the material that's like in between plastic and that, just to be like pretty resistant while at the same time keeping lightweight. Okay. Yeah, or carbon fiber could be another option as well. Like, but carbon fiber is maybe too expensive. I'd have to see the prices and production between the two. But honestly, trying to guess what type of material it is to me is like, it's fun to talk about, but I don't think we have to worry. If there's one thing I'm not worrying about from Nintendo, it's the durability of the base console itself. Okay? And we're going to get to the attachment on the Joy-Cons, but if there's one thing I don't think we need to worry about with Nintendo is the base durability of the base console. I don't think Nintendo has abandoned their position where they want this to be functional in the hands of a child. Okay, I do not think that it is at all that they've abandoned that perspective, and we are going to see a durable material being used, and it will all depend on production costs of the materials. Okay, they probably took the best that they could find for that without increasing the costs or the weight. Because Nintendo is, I do think they're going to focus on having the console stay a pretty light console because they want kids to be able to hold it for a long time and it not be an issue. If we continue on with first USB, second USB. Now, actually, there's two things I want to say here. Whoops. Thought I paused it. Number one, shout outs for keeping the headphone plug on there. I was worried. I was worried that Nintendo was gonna not include a headphone plug this time, since hopefully we're keeping Bluetooth audio. Hopefully we're keeping Bluetooth audio. Okay? That is going to be like one of my like big things that I really would be disappointed is if we take a step back and Bluetooth audio is not available. If that happens, I'll be mad. I'll be mad. But at the same time, I want to give them a shout out. They kept a 3.5 millimeter jack. And I know you're going to say PS5 has it on the controllers and whatnot, but in an age where most consoles are ditching the 3.5, they still have it. So all the headsets that you have for computers and 3.5 millimeter audio is still gonna work. I'm gonna tell you, there are a lot of fan service elements to this console where Nintendo is trying to be much more consumer friendly than they've probably ever been in the past, including and like outdoing their competition, if you will. Okay. Now, the biggest thing for me is really figuring out why there's this second USB-C on here. To me, this is, outside of the controllers being used as a mouse, this could be the actual biggest secret on the Nintendo Switch 2. And like I said, I came up this week with two crazy crazy ideas. Number one, I already said it, I ruined it a little bit. An eventual VR attachment. Can you guys think about how amazing it could be to have a VR attachment to this? And it'd be easy for them to make a headset in VR that would actually like help with the processing power of the Switch. And like I said, the Switch could be worn on a belt or something, and you could actually have a fully portable VR device to play Nintendo games on. I do agree somewhat with you once, Kilos, that it doesn't have the hardware. That's why I'm talking about having the headset do some of the lifting. Now, it would be a more expensive headset, but it would basically be like an extension of the console itself. It's a crazy idea. I'm not saying this is going to happen, and I don't want to try to convince you guys that it's going to happen. I'm just saying it could be one of the options. We could finally get the Virtual Boy 2 attachment. Can you imagine? And this could be maybe not even a day one thing. They might not even talk about this. In a year, they might pop this crap out. And I came up with a second idea. And I think it might even be crazier than the VR idea. Because let's be honest, how many Nintendo Switch 1s are out in the world? How many Nintendo Switch 1s are out in the world, guys? Anyone have a random idea of how many Nintendo Switch 1s are out in the world? You have 2? Awesome. Yeah, somewhere around 260 million. Okay? The number is somewhere around 260 million. And let me just see if I can find something. I'm trying to find something really quick. And I don't know if I can. Okay, we're gonna start with the idea, and we'll come back. I'll try and find it after. Okay, so we have like 260 million Switch 2s, Switch 1s in the world. How many people do you think that will buy the Switch 2 don't own a Switch 1? Like, if we had to go percentage-wise, how many people do you think that don't own the Switch 1 will buy a Switch 2? I'm going to tell you right now, I think the percentage is pretty low. I do think that the biggest audience for the Switch 2 is going to be people that have a Switch 1. So what if Nintendo made an attachment where you could attach your Switch 1 on top of your Switch 2, and this would give you your dual screen. So basically, and I'm going to tell you why I think this could be. Someone on X already made an attachment for attaching 2 Nintendo Switch 1s together, and that's what I was trying to find. What if the Nintendo Switch 2 could connect to a Switch 1 to use the Switch 1 as a second screen? And the reason why I think this could work is, like I said, I saw someone that has a functioning attachment for the Switch 1 that has 2 switches, and it's an attachment. It slides onto the first switch. And I'm trying to find it right now. I'm kicking myself because I saw it last night and I was like, oh, that looks super cool. And I sort of didn't realize right away, and I scrolled past it. And the idea like flashed in my head like 15 minutes later. And that's why I'm like so mad at myself, because I should have right away like gotten the link to that freaking X post where the guy actually made an attachment that you can just slide onto the Switch 1, and it actually holds the Switch 1 on 2 screens like perfectly, one above the other. And I cannot find it for the life of me. Like, this isn't the one, but this is the basic idea. Like, this would be the basic idea behind it. Like, something like this. Oops. Well, if you think about it, the point isn't to sell you a Switch 1. It's that if you have the Switch 1, you can get the dual screen feature to play DS and 3DS games. And like I said, it would be like a feature unlocked for someone who owns a Switch 1 and a Switch 2, and then gets a Switch 2. You would basically be able to use the Switch 1 as your second screen. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, and it would be a little bit out there. But like I said, and I really wish I could find you guys that freaking video of the guy that made the attachment, because when I saw it, I was like, dude, I never thought it would, like, the Wii U 2, right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It would prevent people from selling the Switch 1 and buying a Switch 2. And would actually make a reason why maybe Nintendo could keep selling the Switch 1 for a year or two after the Switch 2. The only problem I see with that is that down the road, like, let's say 3 years down the road, you have to find a solution for people that are buying into the Switch 2 that do not already have the Switch 1. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where I see maybe that idea falling apart, however. And look, I'll always defeat my own ideas because I've already thought of the weak points of my own ideas. Is that basically the weak point of it is, what do you do after like a year or two when there's no more Switch 1s on the market and people are buying the Switch 2 and would like that option to be functional? Maybe Nintendo will make their own attachment for the second screen, and people who have the Switch 1 can just keep on using the Switch 1, but there's a separate attachment that's slightly cheaper for people who don't already own a Switch 1. You know, something like that. Maybe that will be an option too. I can think of those things. I do agree with you that the ports would be blocked, but that's very you can engineer it. You can engineer it to be fine. You can engineer it to probably be very, very fine, especially that if it is to play DS games and 3DS games, the system is going to be far from pushed to its limits. It's not going to be producing like heat to the max of its limits. You know what I mean? But it would actually be a really fun attachment and would make people feel who've invested in their Switch 1 like it was their Switch 1 doesn't become automatically obsolete. In life, slow adapters. Sorry, I'm reading comments. But either way, like I said, just a crazy idea. But I do think that in April 2nd reveal, I think this USB-C will be a main point of the reveal. Because don't forget, Nintendo's taking the time to show us that this is a major feature. But I'm guarantee you it's not just like, oh, you can charge it from the bottom or you can charge it from the top. Like that would be, could it be? Yes. But is it going to be that? Definitely not, in my opinion. Okay? Definitely not, in my opinion. Now we're going to talk about the stand. Stand all the way down. Why would this go all the way down? Some people have been like, oh, who plays games like that? I've got to tell you right away, if you want to play Mario Paint in tabletop mode with a mouse, you're going to want your thing almost flat on the surface. This would be a great angle for drawing. So for people who like Mario Paint, if those controllers actually do become mice, not only that, but if you're playing like an RTS game where you're playing like on a flat surface, it actually is a very fun perspective to play like that. However, I do agree, I do not like how thin this is. I do not like how thin this part is. I am worried. This is, to me, is a bigger point of failure than the connector. However, this is easier to replace. Like a new stand can probably cost you like $25, and they're going to sell you a new stand. But the side connector, which is going to be like the point of failure that everyone's talking about, is probably going to be more costly if you do damage it. But to be honest, the same thing could be said about the railing for the Switch 1. Like any device, if you mistreat it, you can break it. So to start say like if you mistreat it, you break it, is like, to me it's like, well, yeah, because that pretty much happens for everything. Pretty much happens for everything. I do think like the RTS genre would be really fun to get on the Switch. I know we get a few already, but I do think that like the Switch could become the RTS and like sim console. Because like if you play like anything like a 2 Point Hospital or whatnot, the controls are very well adapted to the Switch now. But I do think it would be an even better level, because if you've ever played those games on computer, you still know that it's way easier to like make, you know, size rooms and design stuff quickly on a computer than it is to do it on a console. They've made it very functional. They've made it like close enough where the experience is fun and acceptable, but it still would not match up with having a mouse. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves because now we're going to get to the Joy-Cons. So bigger Joy-Cons. I've got to be honest, I'm a little disappointed that Nintendo didn't make them more like these, like the Nixies. I am a little disappointed. Like I wasn't expecting them to go like full like big controller hand, but I am disappointed that Nintendo didn't give a little bit of a butt. You know what I mean? Like the biggest part of these controllers is the grip, you know, the butt, giving you a little bit of a booty to hold on to. To me, it's the boot, you know, it's the booty because in the back of the console. But I'm a little disappointed that they didn't add a little bit of texturization to the Joy-Cons. Not only that, but I did, you know, have for fun. Like I tried to grab like a Switch. Like if you grab a Joy-Con and you try to use it as a mouse, like it's fine. It's fine, okay? Like clicky, like if the button works like a mouse like this. But honestly, to me, this feels even better. This feels even closer to a mouse. And this is where I'm telling you guys that if we do get if we are actually getting the mouse compatibility, I do think that the breakthrough will be from third-party devices. I do think that third parties will be the ones to break it, where they'll make devices that will actually feel like a complete mouse. Brazilian butt lifts. The world is overpopulated with BBLs. We don't need big booty switches, guys. Guys, we're not talking about actual booties here. We're talking about functionality booties. And I'm joking around. I know you're joking too. Oh, by the way, there is something. Sorry, quick sidetrack. I did pick up the Wukong edition of the 8BitDo 2C wireless controller because it was on sale. And we're going to figure out tonight if this works on the Switch. Because they don't say that they work on the Switch, but there is a USB adapter. I want to see if you can plug in the USB adapter to the Switch, because they are so much cheaper than the 8BitDo Ultimate and have a very comparable experience that I've been wondering if you can just buy the cheaper one and use the dongle into the Switch. Someone's maybe already answered it, but I wanted to make sure that it works, and we're going to check that out. But getting back to what we were talking about. Yes, Topaz. Yes, Topaz. I love you too. Now, the Joy-Cons. First of all, Hall effects, no Hall effects. If Nintendo doesn't go with Hall effects or something comparable that solves the drift issue, once again, disappointment will be extremely major. And I don't see them not doing it, especially with how much like pushback they got with the original Joy-Cons. Okay, I'm really doubtful that these aren't Hall effects, because honestly, if they don't, they're just opening themselves up for a huge like complaint fest from everyone. Apparently, though, if we're trusting leaks to people that did get their hands on an actual console, they've already been taken apart, and it's supposedly already confirmed that it is Hall effects. Sir Mix-a-Lot will promote the Booty Switch 2 controllers. I can see that working. I can see that working. Oh man, can you hear the song? Can you hear the trailer for the Big Booty Switch controllers? That would be freaking amazing. Someone needs to get on that and make a fake Big Booty Switch controller to Sir Mix-a-Lot. That would be freaking amazing. I like big butts again. That's one of those songs, man. If you grew up with it, every time you hear it, you can't not say the words. Like, whether you like it or not. And you have Megan Thee Stallion, yeah, doing twerking in the freaking commercial. That would be freaking amazing. Okay, we're getting off track here. Not talking about booties, talking about switches. Frenchie Mom, I'm sorry. It's going to be stuck in my head too now. So we're in the same boat. So, numero uno. Extra button on the Joy-Cons. Everyone's going crazy about this extra button. Everyone's like, what is this extra button? It opens up a portal to Narnia. That is the answer, right? Everyone knows it opens up a portal to Narnia. And basically, that's what the button does. I'm being facetious, I think is the word, right? But, like, I am interested in the button. There's already a video capture button on the current Switch. There's already one on the current Switch. Look, I do want to know what it does, but I don't think this is going to be the biggest secret. I really don't think this is going to be the biggest secret, because ultimately it is just a button. And that's why I'm joking by saying it opens the portal to Narnia. Like, I am interested in knowing what it does, but do I think that this will be a revolutionary option on the Switch? Probably not, especially considering that the other Joy-Con doesn't have one. So it's not going to be like a Joy-Con use type button, in my opinion, because the other Joy-Con doesn't have a button like this. Like if this was something that would make like each Joy-Con have a function, a special function, each Joy-Con would have that extra button. Does that make sense? So I do think it's going to be like maybe a community tab button, maybe a button that opens up like, who knows, maybe assistance button for people that want to cheat in games, you know, for bad players that need help. But I do think like I'm interested, but to me, this is like on lists of like what I need to know about this console. This is like right at the bottom, like right at the bottom. It brings up Game Pass. You might be right. It calls Microsoft directly. Guys, we just found it. It's the call Microsoft button. Bra, man, Frenchie mom. You're starting, you're trying to start shit here. Now we get to the connector here. So obviously we have like the famous supposed IR sensor and the connector to the switch here. Well, actually, let's go a little further. Let's wait till they turn them into mice because they show you the other side. And you guys saw the IR sensor, right? Like right. Hold on. Can I get it? Like you sort of see it here, but if I can get the frame right before it, you actually see it better. I hate you. Hold on. You actually see it there. You actually see the IR sensor, like right there. Okay. So for people saying there's maybe not an IR sensor, you see it in the trailer, like right here. Okay. And I know this is a render, but they wouldn't render this like that if you didn't see, like if it wasn't there. You better live stream some Halo gameplay. Reach was awesome. Are you going to be as annoying as Marvel versus Capcom with this, Grovel? Like, are you going to be as annoying with this as you were with freaking Marvel versus Capcom? Yes. Holy crap, man. I think I'll start making you donate for me to play the games. I'll be like, when you hit this amount of donation, then I'll play the game, not before. I'm joking. But am I? Okay. But so just to be very clear, for anyone doubting that there's an IR sensor, there is one. Does that automatically make it a mouse? No. Okay, it does not automatically make it a mouse, but it very, very strongly points towards that possibility, especially because the next thing we see is, well, after we see that we can press the buttons, very important to show us that we can press the buttons and turn the joystick. I was wondering if those functions would still be there, but apparently we can still press the buttons and we can still rotate the joysticks. Good news. There we go. Exactly, right here. They move across the table like a mouse. I'll be honest, and they take the time to show you that the strap goes underneath to create like the clearance needed for it to be used as a mouse. Like I'm trying really hard here to see where people have like Nintendo has to really be pushing it to do this and not have that function work after it. And like I said, The beauty of this thing isn't even the Joy-Cons themselves. Because I'll be honest, now I know the new Joy-Cons are going to be a little bit bigger, but I've got to admit this isn't the most comfortable mouse ever on earth. Okay? And most likely you're going to be clicking with the L and R button at the top. Okay? But it's probably not the most comfortable setup on earth. However, having the functionality there means third-party people can do whatever they want, and like they can make an actual mouse now that works with the Switch. Like they can just make a mouse, a wireless mouse that basically talks to the Switch through Bluetooth. They're supposed to have magnets, and I believe so. I believe so. But it's unconfirmed. But the connection would work very well with magnets, probably. Okay? And then we have the point of failure. Now, this one is going to be the one that is going to be like, you cannot answer this question till you have it in your hands. And at the same time, Nintendo's been working on this console for 10 years. 8 years, like 10 years, because apparently this is the system they wanted. Let's say 8 to 10 years, because apparently this is the system they wanted for the first Switch. From interviews, is that they wanted this type of system in the Switch 1, but they didn't get it to work, so they went with the Rails, which was a faster and easier way to do it. And now, after like 10 years of testing, they're ready to set it up. I'm saying 10 years because like they tried it on the first one and they're continuing on. I'm going to be honest, I don't think, like, for me, it's a zero concern. Why? Because over, like, 6 years of having a Switch, because I missed out on, like, the first year and a half, 6, 7 years of having a Switch. Like, I bought the Switch in the second year of the Switch. So, like, 7 years of having Switches, I own 12 Joy-Cons, and I've broken one Joy-Con. So, I'm not a person who breaks his crap, okay? And maybe it's because I divide my use over so many Joy-Cons, like, whatever. Same thing as when I was a kid, I never broke a NES controller. I never broke an SNES controller. I maybe broke a few mice, but, like, computer mice are made cheaply, so whatever. I just think that people are going overblown till we have the system in our hands and that we've managed to see how exactly it connects. Because I do not think, like, what we're maybe not seeing is, I'm pretty sure there must be an anchor point at the top here and at the bottom here to release the Joy-Cons out. And I'm pretty sure that put together with the connector is probably going to create a fairly sturdy connection point. I think the Switch 2 will have wireless charging because of the case we saw from Genki. We can go look at it but I looked at it a lot last week, and the case from Genki seems to be indicating that there's wireless charging at the back of the console. So it is a very strong possibility that it could work. But that's what I was going to say, is like, anyone who takes a Switch 1, like, if your point is, hey, if I do this, my like, they're going to crack off. Well, that sort of happens with a Switch 1 as well. Now, I understand that a Switch 1, it's generally the Joy-Con that breaks before the rail. But I would tell you that there are people who broke the rails as well, and that broke the screens by putting too much tension on a Switch. That's happened. So to start like going like, hey, if you start twisting the console, it's going to break. Well, if you twist most things the way they're not supposed to be twisted, most things are going to break. Like if you grab your phone and you go, hey, if I grab my phone and I try to twist it like this, is it going to break? My answer to you is most likely going to be yes. Does that, so I'm not trying to say like, hey, okay, it's not going to be a problem. It's just that it's always a problem. People are always going to break shit. Like, is this really like, okay? Like, and I even heard like a streamer that I respect a lot say that they weren't going to get it because they're worried about the point of failure. And I was like, not a Switch streamer though. They're not a Switch streamer. But I was like, are you freaking serious? Like, anyway, whatever. Okay. So, point of failure to me, I'm going to tell, if I get the Nintendo Switch 2 experience, I'll be able to tell you guys firsthand. And I will tell you firsthand if this thing is a point of failure or not. But honestly, I don't think so because, like I said, what I don't think we're seeing here, or that they're not representing, because this is a render, don't forget. The things they're not rendering is probably voluntarily not rendered. I'm pretty sure there's going to be an anchor point at the bottom or the top, which you're going to have to use the button at the back to sort of have them disengage. And look, how many people broke the freaking button on the Switch where your Joy-Cons don't stay in? That was probably a huge failure point on that one, but it yeah. So honestly, and oh, the stupidest comments I've been seeing online. This looks like every generic PC handheld out there. Dude, every generic PC handheld looks like a Switch, not the other way around. PC handhelds started to look what they look like today. Sorry. Topaz like tried to climb my desk and she was going to throw everything on the ground, but she fell off. Don't worry, she didn't hurt herself. Like, it's like 2 feet off the ground, but she tried to jump on it and there was too many things on it and she fell off. And now she's trying to find a way back up top, but she feels like a dumbass. Yeah. I'm talking about you. But yeah, basically, that's what I was going to say is like, I think people got it twisted. PC handhelds look like they look today because they've been copying the Switch 1 since the Switch 1 came out. So yeah, that argument grows very thin very quickly. Okay? Let's not get things twisted. It's not Nintendo copying any freaking handhelds. It's handhelds that copied Nintendo. And if Nintendo didn't actually patent the detachable Joy-Cons, the consoles would have detachable Joy-Cons. By the way, if you're wondering why handheld PCs can't have detachable Joy-Cons on the side, it's because it's currently patented by Nintendo. And they know they could get sued because it's not like patenting a gameplay mechanic that is actually patented by the Switch. It's really hard. It would be really hard to have detachable Joy-Cons on a portable gaming PC that would manage to survive the Nintendo copyright of that, a patent of that. So that argument is like the one annoying me the most. Okay. And before we go to the trailer, I do think it's good to look at this because I want to sort of address it right away. Now, I took the Toronto Stock Exchange, but you guys can look at it like wherever you want, like whatever. It's just because it's my local stock exchange. Okay. So, this is Nintendo, right? Yeah, Nintendo Ltd, NTD.OY. Yeah, we're at Nintendo. Okay. So, like 5 days. Like this, just so we're clear, and this is what I wanted to show is like, let's go 5 years. Okay. The dip that happened was on January 6th. Okay. January 6th. Oh, it's hard to see here. Here. January 6th to 8 is where stock dropped. Like, you guys can't see it on the screen. It's like too small. Give me a sec. There we go. Okay. So, just to be super, super clear here, once again, this is not financial advice. Okay. But Nintendo, since November 22nd of 2024, stock has been only rising. Okay. The biggest dip that it had was here on January 6 to 8. Like January 3rd was the high point, and then it dropped all the way to January 8th. And it's only been rising up until January 16th. Now, why do we not have the latest days on this? When I was looking at it earlier, we had the latest days. I might be too big. I might be too far out. Accept all. 1 year. Let's go to 6 months. We'll probably see it better. Why is it 5 days? Why do we not see past the January 16th? It's annoying me. Earlier, I had everything up until today. Give me a sec. Let's go look at Yahoo. Accept all, whatever. Oh, I freaking hate Yahoo so much. Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to show. Okay. Basically, if you look at this, the drop that happened, because I wanted to show there was a drop on January 16th. But the drop that Nintendo had was to its previous price, like before the actual drop in January, because there was no news about the Switch 2. Then, as soon as the news started breaking that the Switch 2 was going to get announced, it actually rose. But what happens after a rise if you follow the market? There's always a correction before it rises higher again. So when in one day it went from here to here, this is just a correction. Look at the way it works. There's always up, then down, up, then down. There's always a rise and a correction. Just like there's a drop here, and then there's a correction upwards. This is simply the correction from the overzealous people that invested on the 16th. Why? Because it didn't drop lower to its previous low point. Okay? So people are like, oh my God, reactions. No, it's just a correction, dudes. Relax. Relax. A lot of people buying a lot of stock at once will cause an automatic rapid rise. And then as soon as stuff cools down, there's going to be an automatic correction. The correction, if the correction drops below the previous point, that's where there's a problem. Okay? And just to be sort of, and what I wanted to show is Dude, Nintendo has never been as good as they are right now. So even with that tiny drop, if you look on a 5-year period, Nintendo has never been as high since 2021. Like over the last 5 years and over all of time, Nintendo is near its highest point it's ever been. Been. Like if you look at 2000, the only time it rose higher were 2 points in 2007 and 2021. Okay? So let's just be clear here. When people are like, oh my God, Nintendo stock dragged 5 points. Yeah, 5 points from being at one of its highest points of all time, which either it's going to go higher and we're going to get a new high and a new like sort of market point, or it's going to stay around this. Well, that's exactly what I mean. The correction. Okay, the correction, by the way, is like, okay, like I don't want to start giving like what sounds like financial advice, okay? But because I'm not legally allowed to do so. So don't worry, I won't get in trouble. It's not that bad. Like it'd be an extension like either way. But okay. Let's say you want to make a quick buck and you buy it when it's here. Okay? And then in 5 hours it goes here. Now think in moving millions of dollars. So you take $5 million and you invest it in Nintendo. Okay? And 7 hours later, you made $500,000 when the company's already at one of its highest points. A short seller will sell it right away and make his $500,000, which is what the correction is. It's the portion of people that bought it because they knew that there was going to be a sudden rise, and their only point is to sell when it's at the top point of that rise, and then it'll recorrect. That's what the correction is the people that buy to short it, and sell rapidly. Okay? And a sudden rise in stocks will always cause a sell, because also people that bought it previously that are like, hey, all of a sudden I can make a quick buck. You have people that already have stock that probably sold it as well because they're like, oh, nice. I can make $1 million right now. Boom. Let's do this. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get into cooling off periods and all that. That's way too complex for this. But I'm just explaining that like it's the opposite. Okay. Most people are making a turn because right now being negative about it is getting way more attention than being positive about it. And we talked about this last week, how negativity always outclasses positivity online. So like grain of salt with all this stuff, guys. No, I'm going to stay there. And then lastly, we're going to continue on here. Logo, Mario Kart. And yes, I missed it the first time. I'm a dumbass. But, oh my God, and it's going to kill me like the other day. Hold on. It's faster if I... Yes, people, apparently we have a 24-player Mario Kart coming out. Yeah, but the GameStop stock was a little different. I don't want to get into that because it's going to be way too complex to understand. You had some people shorting it properly, and in reality, what What people were trying to do with GameStop is they were trying to screw people who were actually trying to short the company to like have the company fail. Okay. You had people betting on the company failing. And the point of buying the stock was to screw those people and basically hurt those people. But it's very complicated because it has to do with buying stock when you don't actually have the money to buy it. Which you can do when you have like when you're a serious investor in the stock market, you can invest on like markers. Anyway, we're not going to get into that, but basically, and people use that sometimes to bet on failing companies, and that's what was some people were trying to do with GameStop. And the idea behind the investors was to be like a Robin Hood, to come invest actual money to sort of screw those guys. Okay. But then it turned into some people realizing that they could make a quick buck from it. And then, and other people buying into it, not understanding what the concept was. And that by doing so, you were automatically setting yourself up to eventually fail. Okay. But yeah, anyway. Not going to get into GameStop stuff, but yeah, it's similar, but it's like actually the opposite trend. But yeah. Okay. But yeah, so 24 is, sorry, we're out of the business market, guys. Mario Kart. 24 players. Can you imagine 24 players online? We might finally get to play online with you guys. Like I like honestly, if Mario Kart comes out with 24 online players, guys, we're going to stream this and we're going to play online matches with everyone. Guaranteed. Like with everyone. With like currently in my streams, the good news is you guys are about 20 to 25 on average. So guess what that means? Everyone gets to play if they want. That would be freaking amazing. Now, the only thing Nintendo has to do is fix their freaking community. Because, like, they really have to fix the way to get people online. Because, like, it's really hard for streamers to do it with Nintendo. Because it's, you know what I mean? It's like really hard to share friend codes and all that stuff. But yeah. To me, this is probably in-game. To me, I feel like this is in-game footage. It might not be the actual gameplay, but to me, it feels like in-game footage. Like, it's not that crazy where I don't believe that this is in-game footage. I mean, it looks like it. Honestly, I was confused in the original video whether this was a new Mario Kart or not, because visually it doesn't look that higher resolution. But at the same time, don't forget that with the Nintendo style, higher resolution doesn't always transfer visually that easily. But yeah, man, that is going to be freaking amazing. And then we have the thumbnail that I used for today's video, the Nintendo Switch 2 plugged in. And lastly, we show that the dog face controller still works. I'm sure it's not only magnets there. I'm sure there's a physical point in there. And obviously we're using the same cartridges this time around. Now, I do hope that the new cartridges are going to have a better compression on it for basically allow for bigger cartridges easier. Because let's not lie, if the new games, if we want the better games, they're going to get bigger. So I'm really wondering what they're going to do with that. And like, because right now getting a 32-bit cartridge for Nintendo is really rough. It costs a lot. So Nintendo's going to have to do something about that for the third parties. But like I said, the one thing that people are forgetting about is that, and the reason why I was really happy that they went with just a better Switch is that, don't forget, if Nintendo would have done something crazy, we would have totally lost possibly backwards compatibility. And I think that is the most important part to remember here. For anyone complaining that they wanted Nintendo to do something crazy, those would have been the very same people that would have been complaining if Nintendo did something crazy and then we couldn't be backwards compatible. Do you realize that, like, it would have been the exact same people complaining, saying, how can Nintendo not be backwards compatible? All my Switch games won't work, blah, 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 blah. You know what? I do think Nintendo is going to differentiate themselves with attachments this time. And I, for one, am not disappointed with the Switch 2 for the moment. I do hope that they have one or two little secrets, but already, if the Joy-Cons become mice, it's already enough. It is already something that no other console manufacturer has pierced yet to solve a basic mouse function directly on the console. Now, I know that some can be compatible with like PS5s and Xboxes, and there's ways to get them working and blah, blah, blah. But to have the basic functionality in the console, first ones. Again, it is exactly, and I said it in a tweet, this is not the console that everyone wanted, but it is the console that everyone will need. That everyone needed. And I'm telling you right now, clip it. This is going to be Nintendo's PlayStation 2. This is going to be, there is going to be a timeline in Nintendo's history that is going to be separated before the Switch and after the Switch. If we go back to my awesome drawing skills. Like, I think this is the beginning of a new era for Nintendo where, like, in history, there's going to be the lifeline of Nintendo. Like, you're going to have, like, the NES. Okay, SNES, all this crap. But there is going to be a break at the Switch. Okay. Switch 2. And this will start a new history for Nintendo, where the base of the system will always be the same, but they'll add stuff to it from the exterior. You'll have the Switch 3 eventually, which will be an even more powerful version of it. You'll have the Switch 4, more powerful version. And like I said, all these people complaining about like Nintendo not doing anything new, like how many people were complaining, hey, the PlayStation 5 is just a more powerful PS4? Because ultimately, the PlayStation 5 is just a more powerful PS4. Like, nothing special. Dude, it was minus like 16 Celsius yesterday here, and it's supposed to be minus 25 Celsius tomorrow. I'm going to be freezing my nuts off tomorrow. But I'm actually not going outside, so we're good. We're good. I walked to work today at minus 16. I was still okay. But luckily, I don't have to physically go into the office tomorrow or Wednesday, which are supposed to be the coldest days. Then I'm off on Thursday. So actually pretty good week coming up. Pretty good week coming up. So I think we've gone over everything about the Switch 2, the crazy ideas I have of what could be coming up for the Switch 2. To stop, please, leaking the price for the Switch 2, because it is not, like, no matter who's leaking the price for the Switch 2 right now, they're only leaking possibilities, and it's like leaking BS right now. It is pure leaking BS because, like I said, I'm pretty sure even Nintendo isn't 100% sure what the final price of the Switch is going to be. And the tariffs coming on February 1st could affect that. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get this into politics. I'm not trying to get negative. I'm just letting you guys know this could be a major factor for a lot of companies starting February 1st. And you might see prices going up. Because like I said, there is no competitor to the Switch. Like like tariffs are going to hurt products that you can't get elsewhere. That's what's really going to be awful. Okay. And like this is the last thing I'm going to say about this, just in general. Like if you're talking about corn, of course you can buy corn that's made in the US so that you don't need to pay tariffs on the corn instead of importing your corn from South America. Okay. Problem is, the only company making Switches is Nintendo. So if you want a Switch, you gotta buy it from Nintendo, right? So the only way that Nintendo can get them here is by shipping them in. So if you're putting tariffs on everything coming in, we're gonna automatically, Nintendo has to sell the product more expensive here because that's how they're going to pay for the tariffs. And like I said, I think that with a global, like with how like tariffs worked back in the 40s and 50s, because it wasn't so easy to globally ship stuff everywhere. The problem is that that's not the world we're in anymore. And that's what's gonna like sort of offset, like, it's not that tariffs aren't a good idea. It's that they're not a good idea in today's world anymore. That's what I feel like. Because companies now will just make the customers pay for those things. And there's too many products that are unique to certain manufacturers that it's not going to happen. Like tomorrow morning, people aren't going to stop buying BMWs. But BMWs might go up 10% in price because there's a 10% tariff on them. The consumer, it's just the bill's basically going to get passed off to the consumer. The government's going to make more money to invest in your services, but you're going to be the ones paying for it in purchasing the products more expensively. Yeah, but no one's Xbox and Sony aren't manufacturing their products in the US. They have companies there. It depends on what the tariffs are. If all the company has to do is have a home hub in the US and then you don't pay tariffs, it's not going to be that bad. But if the product has to actually be manufactured in the US to not have tariffs, I'm sorry to tell you guys, even if you want to assemble the product in the US, the RAM is coming from overseas. Every part of it is coming from overseas. And that's actually something that we didn't talk about on the Switch. I am really, really interested in knowing how much RAM the system is going to have. So sorry, we're done with the tariff stuff. That's the last thing. I just wanted to sort of say that's it wasn't even to bitch about the tariffs. It was more to, because like, look, life is life. It's going to happen. I buy my stuff in Canada, so it's not really going to affect me much. And my industry is pretty much like tariff protected. Okay. My job is zero going to be affected by tariffs. It can't really be affected by tariffs other than maybe us making more money. Like my 9-to-5 job. We would actually maybe make more from there being tariffs in a way. But I'm not going to get into that. Either way, basically what no one's talking about is that but is it assembled in the US or actually made? Like that, there's a bunch of like different like definitions. So either way, I don't want to, like I said, we're not going to get into that. Governments are going to handle that crap. But either way, what I was going to say is that I'm actually super interested, and I'm really funny that no one's talking about this. How much RAM is the console going to have? Because one of the biggest limiting factors of the current Switch is the RAM that it has. It has only 6 gigabytes of RAM, I feel like saying. And I'm wondering if the next Switch is going to be 12 or 16. I don't think that Nintendo's going to do anything bigger than 12 or 16. I would love 16 though. I would love 16. And I know people say it's maybe not going to happen, but there's two areas for soldering RAM on the board. I would think it actually would cost Nintendo more to buy, like it would cost Nintendo less to buy more 8 gigabyte sticks of RAM than to buy less 8 gigabyte sticks and 4 gigabyte sticks of RAM. Does that make sense? Like it's better to buy in bulk more 8 than to buy separately less 8 and less 4. Because even from a manufacturer's perspective, they'd rather manufacture a bunch of the same shit than two different sizes of RAM. Yeah, it's just I'm trying to look from a manufacturing cost perspective. I'm not actually sure how much money they would save with 12 because currently RAM is freaking cheap. Like RAM is cheap right now. So the only thing that I'm sort of reasoning with this is, are they going to save money by going with 12 rather than just going with 16? Because even when you have defective, it's easier to replace, like, yeah, I know, and it could be, like I said, I don't have like the manufacturing costs in front of me. And I'm not like on the like I don't know on the bulk side of the industry. Like I know RAM, how it's sold, and there's a reason that kits of RAM are always sold for with 2 bars of the same amount and not like with odd sizes of RAM. Like they don't sell you an 8 and a 16 in the same pack. Not only that, but like you have dual, like if you want dual channel, normally you have to have the same amount of RAM. So generally it's easier for the RAM to communicate in between the chips together if they're both the same size as well. So you're actually sometimes losing a bit of performance, but either way, I do think it's going to be an important factor. I do think Nintendo can get away with 12. 12 would still be very, very good. I just think they can't go below 12. I don't think they can go below 12. Well, that's what I'm saying. And they could probably lower it even lower to $1 difference when, like, if you tell a company, give me, because we're talking millions, okay? They say they need 20 million switches. Okay. So if you tell a company, I need I need 10 million sticks of 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I need 10 million sticks of 4 gigabytes of RAM. Like, and let's imagine that in the, like, because you're buying huge amounts, okay? So let's imagine that the stick of 16 gigabytes of RAM is, and I'm going to take a random price, okay? $10 a stick. It's too low. Wait, let's say the 8 gigabytes is $20 a stick, and the base price of the 4 gigabyte stick is like $15 a stick. Okay, because it's like that. Like it's not gonna be 2x. It's gonna be like 40% more, like 30-40% more. I'm pretty sure that Nintendo can work that saying instead of buying 10 and 10, if you buy 20 of 8, I can do it for 1750. Do you understand what I mean? And then if you factor in the price, it'll cost you the same thing to get 20 million of the same stick than it would cost you to get 10 million of one and 10 million of the other, and your console winds up better. I don't think they're gonna. The industry doesn't manufacture 6 generally. Like it would have to really be custom for Nintendo. Normally you can't get 6. Normally it's always 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. And it has to do with the architecture. Yeah, but I'm not even sure. Like, I'd have to look if it's doable. Like 6 would normally be a 4 and a 2. You understand? Like if someone has 6 gigabytes of RAM, it's because they normally have a 4 and a 2. They wouldn't have like 1.6. I'd have to look if it exists 1.6. Like in general computers, I don't think it exists. Like in computers, 6 gigabytes officially does not exist. And like if you have a laptop that has 6 gigabytes of RAM, that's because there's generally 2 or 4 that is soldered on the board, and they added in a 2 or a 4, a stick of 2 or 4. Okay, because I know laptops nowadays, a lot of them have like odd quantities of RAM. By odd, that means not multiples of 2, like 2, not multiples, but like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. But that's because generally laptops always have a certain amount of RAM now soldered to the board, which will be the baseline of what the model of the laptop is going to be sold for. And then they will add on sticks of RAM above and beyond that for like the higher levels of the laptop that they want to sell. So if your laptop, your base model, you want it to have a 4 gigabytes, the 4 gigabytes is going to be soldered to the board. And then every other model you're going to make is going to have like an extra stick of 4, an extra stick of 8, an extra stick of 16. There'll be like one place to put a stick on it, and that's how they'll sell the laptops. And it's because what I'm wondering too is, will the processor have shared memory? NVIDIA isn't strong on shared memory, but is the graphics processor going to have shared memory? Like generally, AMD is stronger with shared memory. They do a lot of shared memory where the RAM will be shared with the visual processor. But anyway, we're getting way too into the technical garbage that probably a lot of people don't really know or understand. So I'm not going to go any deeper than that for tonight's video. But honestly, I think we have great things coming. I think the Switch 2 is going to be an amazing success. I think that all the haters that are hating on the Switch 2 now are just trying to capitalize on the fact that it's the fun thing right now to crap on the Switch 2. And I think they will be among some of the first to buy a Switch 2. And I, God sake, hope that there won't be scalping problems with the Switch 2. And I will strongly recommend that you pre-order one when as soon as you can. In your to be like the first 3 or 4 people at your GameStop or Walmart or Best Buy or whatever you go to, because that is going to probably be one of the biggest. Like, they are going to try to scalp them. They are going to try to scalp them. Okay, be ready for that. If you do want to switch to, do not waste time. Pre-order it as soon as it comes up. Okie dokie. Let's do a quick unboxing of my 8BitDo 8 Ultimate 2C wireless controller, the Wukong edition. And I don't know why my camera's crooked, but we'll fix that real quick. We'll do a quick unboxing, okay? Let me switch to my headset because I just realized that my mic is here, so you guys won't hear me. We'll do a quick unboxing for this thing, and testing. You guys should hear me now. So we'll do a quick unboxing for this one, and then we will. I just want to pop it into the Switch, and I just want to see if it works with the Switch. Okay, because just to let you know, the 8-bit, the Ultimate 2C wireless controller is about almost half the price of the 8-bit Ultimate, which is like my favorite controller on the Switch currently. This controller is half price. If you get the right version, it does have Hall effect sensors in the joysticks too. You're basically, if you want basic controller functionality, you're not losing out on that much. It doesn't have the programmable buttons, to my knowledge, at the back. It doesn't have the dock, but the question is, can you plug it into the Switch? Because as a budget controller, this might actually automatically be the best budget controller if you can plug it into the Switch. The only problem is that the base C model isn't made for the Switch. It says compatible with Bluetooth, Android, and PC. Okay, Android and PC. But it comes with a USB adapter. So my question is 8BitDo just not saying that you can plug the adapter into the Switch and have it work? Or is it actually not going to get recognized by the Switch? And that's what we're going to answer really quickly tonight. Either way, I wanted this controller because it's the Wukong edition, and I'm going to be playing that game very soon. So I wanted this controller because I wanted to play it. I wanted to play it with the Wukong controller. If it works on the PS5, that's the other question too. I want to test it out with the PS5 after. But for tonight, we're just going to try it with the Switch because I don't have everything set up to be able to show the PS5. I also want to see if it does work with the Switch, if the buttons show up like Switch or like the X inputs, because the physical controller you're going to see has the buttons in the X input positions. So like the Y is the X is the Y, like reversed on the Switch. But my question is, if I plug it into a Switch, does the X button work like a Y or does it work like an X? So let's take a quick look. We're going to unbox this and then we will plug it into the Switch and answer the question really quick. Then we'll get to the new Switch games for this week. So I'm going to cut the Canon camera because you guys aren't going to see me because I'm not in front of the camera anymore. Let's get this boy open. Oh, there's a nice tab. I don't need my knife. Good. They were friendly. They made a nice little tab here for us. Except my fingers, being big sausage fingers, don't fit in the packaging. (8BitDo Ultimate). Honestly, I didn't show it off, but the box is actually pretty nice. 8BitDo anyway makes like high quality, good products. Okay, I know it's closed up because I have it set to like the Pokemon cards that I opened, and I really don't want to change the focus on the camera. Anyway, the controller is not too big for that. So we've got our USB-C cable, standard stuff. How do I get this out of here without breaking the cardboard? Can I? Pop that. Boom. Here we go. So we've got our USB adapter. It's identical to the one that comes with the 8BitDo Ultimate. I wonder if it's going to get confused, other than it says Ultimate 2C here in really small writing. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but there's really small writing and it says Ultimate 2C right at the bottom of the adapter. And then we have the controller. Ooh. Honestly, I love the accents. There's like transparency. Really nice. Where is my 8BitDo Ultimate? I'd have to weigh them to make sure, but they are very comparable in weight. Like, obviously, if I weigh them, I do think the 8BitDo Ultimate is a tiny bit heavier, but it's not super perceivable. Like I said, however, no buttons at the back. If I, once again, Ultimate, you have programmable buttons at the back.
Did you guys lose me? Okay, I think we're good. No programmable buttons at the back. However, everything else is there. You do have, however, the R4 and L4 triggers. So these are programmable, but they're at the top. Personally, I really prefer them at the back, like the Ultimate. But look, at least there's something there. I would say other than that, feels pretty close to the 8BitDo Ultimate. These buttons do feel a little more clicky. And we have here, like I said, basically inverted buttons to be in the X input format. So, normally on a Switch, the Y would be here, X would be here, B would be here, A would be here. So the question tonight is, D-pad feels really good. Ooh. I love the 8BitDo D-pads. I think they make the best D-pads. And you always have the choice at the back between Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz. Okay? So honestly, a super nice looking controller. Now the question is, does it work on the Switch? Does it work on the Switch? So let me just get things, let me just, well, actually, let's do this like this, cut this, put this back up, and hopefully my Switch is going to pop up on the screen once I do this, and it does. Moment of truth. Let's pop this baby in. I'll take this off. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working. The controller says it's connected, but I'm pressing the buttons and I'm getting nothing. Let's just do something here. Oops, that was my bad. Give me a sec here, guys. Okay, so this is my ultimate. I'm using my normal ultimate. I just want to make sure that wired connection is enabled. So if you don't know, if you use like USB adapters and stuff, it's always good to make sure that you have, where is it? Is it in system setting? You have to make sure that you have USB keyboard. Where the heck is the option for wired controllers? I thought it was in controllers. Did I miss it? Oh, here. Okay, no, it's on. Pro controller wired communication. It's good to make sure that it's always on. Now let me just try it in the other USB slot. It seems to not be working at all. Let me just see if it works with the PC really quick. Yeah, I don't think it's the Nintendogs. It's 8BitDo that purposefully did this. Uh, Unfortunately, I think they don't want the cheap model being used on the Switch. Whether you want to or not, 8BitDo is a bit of a, like, it's a little bit of their market on Nintendo is very strong. So why would they shoot themselves in the foot and not have it work? Give me a sec, guys. I'm just testing out, like, I'm going to start Marvel Rivals just to see if the controller works. I'm just made. This is like just my, make sure that it's not the controller that has an issue type thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's working on Marvel Rivals. I was able to move this thing. So the controller itself is working. Is there anything I could try to get it to work before assuming? Let me just see if how the pairing mode for Bluetooth works. Let me just see if I can pair it with Bluetooth. Okay, but I know the Ultimate, you can just plug in the USB adapter and it works on the Switch as well. Yeah, I'd be super surprised that it would work because it's basically Bluetooth pairing. I'm going to try it to make 100% sure. Hey, Champ Dancer, 30 months. Booyah. Yes, sir, my man. Booyah. The shaders are compiling. I should have never tried Marvel Rivals. The shaders are compiling and my camera's been glitchy because like the shaders compiling is taking too much of my GPU power. Because my streaming computer is the gaming computer too. Well, theoretically, yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying that it needs the dongle. The thing is, I think the one that comes with, well, no, this is probably associated directly to the Ultimate. Do I have a generic 8-bit dongle? I do not. I might have to, but you're right. You're right. I might have to test it with the generic 8-bit dongle. I just don't think I have one. I know I have one for like this NES, the Genesis. Like I have the adapters for the NES, the Genesis, and the the Genesis, the SNES, and the NES adapters from 8-bit like the ones that I can connect 8-bit controllers directly to those consoles for wireless. But come on, it's because I can't even stop Well, I could control alt delete Marvel Rivals, but give me. Oh my god, man, It's because I'm streaming at the same time. The shaders are taking forever to compile. I'm at like 50%. Come on, shaders, you can do it. It's maybe just on my screen that I look choppy because it's probably my. Um, I'm, but give me a sec. And actually, I can turn off the headset now.
We're going to go back to the general mic. Sound's going to be better. Boom. One down. 10 games later. Holy crud, man. Come on, bro. Move. Is this the Ultimate 2C? We're trying to get the Ultimate 2C working, but so far it's not. I'm just testing it on PC because I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an issue with the controller since I've never tried it before. Like, I'm a computer guy, so like the easiest answer is sometimes the correct one. So before you say like, oh, it doesn't work, like question number one, did you test it to see if it works somewhere else? You know what I mean? Like, that's always like step number one for troubleshooting is like try whatever you think is not working with something that you can confirm is working. Actually, I'm not sure it's recognizing the controller. What the heck is wrong with Marvel Rivals? Oh yeah, no, we good. It's working with Marvel Rivals. It was just, I was tabbed out of the Marvel Rivals screen. Okay, exit to desktop. Okay, so it is working. Let's just, okay, so now we have confirmed that the dongle works. And actually, this is going to be able to go back into my 8-bit thingamajig. Now let's try one last time. We're going to try plugging it directly back in. We're going to go to controllers. Like you don't normally you don't need to do this for wired controllers, but we're still going to just try to make sure. Like it's weird because it connects. That's what's weird is it connects to the dongle. It just doesn't register on the switch. They've done something. They've done something. So numero dos. Let's try going over to Bluetooth, turning on the controller. Hold down the pairing button for 3 seconds. But I'm almost sure it's not going to work because this is Bluetooth pairing. Yeah, it's not working. It would have connected by now. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I was really hoping that like they hadn't like blocked it, but they have. So 8-bit though, you disappointed me a wee bit because there's no reason for it to be blocked on the Switch. Other than the fact that you don't want to sell the cheap controller on the Switch. Like, that's the only reason why it's doing that. Okie doke. Okay. This is done. Can turn the Switch off. Turn that off. Display capture. Not the... Well, doesn't really matter. It's the stream, but yeah. Okay. Now, guys, it is that time of night. It is that time of day, depending on where you are. It's time to talk about this week's new Nintendo Switch games. And things are getting a little busier. A little busier. Just setting things up really quickly so we don't have too much buffering. Honestly, there's also a couple of games I'm sort of excited to try. There's one game that I was excited to try, but it is way overpriced, in my opinion, for when it's coming out. But, you know, we're sort of used to that on the Switch now, right? Overpriced games at all times. And actually, I turned my headset off, but I should not have, because I'm going to need to listen to the trailers. So that was that. Sorry, I have what, 2 more to prepare. Give me a second. Okie doke. We are good. Except that I don't know why some trailers muted themselves because they wanted to be annoying. Okie doke. So guys, we're going to be looking at the new Switch games for this week in just a couple of seconds. I am just going to finish setting things up. And here we go. So as usual, I'm just going to do a little intro for the video that will come out tomorrow. Then we'll go through the trailers and I'll do a fake little outro before I actually say bye to all of you that are here tonight with me. So when we get to the outro, no one tune out. We'll be sticking around another like at least 5 or 10 minutes when we're done. But yes, so let's start with the intro. So hey everyone and welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at the new Nintendo Switch games coming out for this week. Now I'm happy to say that things are coming back to normal on the Nintendo Switch eShop. We're getting a more regular flow of quality games. So today we're going to be looking at 8 great games coming out for this week. And just as we jump in, don't forget that if you are liking the content, to hit that like button. Okie doke. So now let's get started, guys. Okay. So now our first game for today is going to be The Tale of Bistun that is coming out on January 21st and is going to be selling for $17.99. Now, this is an action-adventure, story-driven game. It looks like it has some potential. I'm not going to say there aren't parts of it that are worrying me that we're going to look at together in the trailer, but I do say that for its under $20 price point, if this game could possibly be delivering a very interesting experience for this week, especially that I'm sort of in the mood for a quick action-adventure game right now. So let's take a look at the trailer and we'll get our comments more on the game after that. Desktop audio is not working. There.
As if God himself were holding his breath. But God had forsaken this place, and a demonic creature made it its home.
I like the overall visual design so far. I mean, most of the big components I'm looking for seem to be there. A nice visual design. The combat looks to be flowing pretty good. I think this one really could have some nice potential for this week. Honestly, and there we go. We have A Tale of Bistun coming out, as I said, on January 21st. So when you're watching this video, the game might already be available. And yes, it gave me sort of Diablo vibes too, but it seems to be really more in a story-driven action-adventure. So I don't think this is going to be a huge online multiplayer game. Even I'm not even sure it has any multiplayer at all. But I do think if you're looking to spend less than $20, this one could really have some really nice potential for this week. So Tale of Bistun, obviously, as I always say in all the videos like this, you can always wait for a review or two to get an idea if people are liking the game or not. I would generally recommend it. And you know what? Depending on how things shape up for this week, I might even play it on stream. So that was Tale of Bistun. Now let's take a look at our next game. And our next game, however, definitely is one of my very high potential games for this week. I'm pretty sure it's going to be good based on the quality of the first game in the series, and that is Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist that, yes, is coming out on January 22nd. Now, this game will be selling for $24.99, and it has currently a pre-order discount, bringing it down to $22.49. Now, if you don't know, this is the follow-up to Ender Lilies, which is a excellent Metroidvania on the Nintendo Switch if you haven't played it yet. It often goes on very deep discounts right now, so jumping into the first one could be an awesome idea. And this is basically the follow-up, which is Ender Magnolia. So let's take a look at the trailer and you'll see why this game generally is very well received. Yeah, I know a lot of people are waiting to hold out for a physical. It is possible that it will be coming. The gameplay also looks more refined in this one. Just by the movement of the characters, when you compare it to the first one, it seems to be more refined. Now, I am worried that this music might get copyrighted. So, by the way, as I always say in these videos, if the music is absent from the trailer, the link to the full trailer will be down below in the description of the video. You can always watch it for yourself. I might have to mute the music after this goes live on YouTube. Honestly, the visuals look stunning. And like I said, it looks like it's bringing all the basic concepts from the first game, but refining them even further. Pretty long trailer, this one, but it's worth it. Great stuff. So there we have it. Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist. Look, if you guys didn't know about the first game, the basic concept is you play sort of like a character. I'll call her a summoner. I know they have a specific name in the game that's not coming to me right now, but you're like a summoner. You collect spirits, and then your attacks are the different spirits that you can use to fight for you. So you basically go through the game collecting different spirits, which is sort of the Metroidvania aspect that allows you to progress through the game. Now, the one thing I will say about the Switch, I am a bit worried about the performance because the game looks so much better, in my opinion, than the first one that I am maybe worried that there could be some performance issues on the Switch. Those will be alleviated. This is, for the moment, the front runner for the stream on Friday. However, I might have time to stream on Thursday as well, which is why, like I said, maybe we'll play something like Tale of Beastun, which is a game that is much less known or much less anticipated. But as you can see, there's going to be a ton of great games for this week. Ender Magnolia should be at the top of the watch list. But very possible that there could be a few worries on the performance side. So Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist, like I said, January 22nd, which is going to be Wednesday, $24.99 regular sales price. Pre-order discount right now, bringing it down to $22.49. Next, we have a game that honestly I missed out, or the original game. I really feel like trying it though. And that is Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles that is coming out on January 23rd. This one will have a sales price of $19.99 with currently a pre-order discount bringing it to $17.99, so a 10% discount. Jedi Power Battles is a port to the Switch of another Star Wars game. It is being done by the same company that brought us all the previous ports. So there is a slight warning here to wait maybe for the performance. Some of their games do come out with performance issues that get generally patched later on. The company's name is Aspire, and basically they generally do a pretty decent job, but there are sometimes patches needed. But let's take a look at the trailer. I missed out on the original game, so this would actually be a first time playing it for me. It does look very interesting. Let's take a look at the trailer. So 13 newly unlocked playable characters. Man, no Jar Jar, please. But I know there's Jar Jar, by the way. He is there. So the gameplay is like a action hack and slash, where you get to play as a bunch of characters from the Star Wars series in a storyline adventure, bringing you through the events of Episode 1. Now, I've got to say, I have a soft spot for the GOAT Jedi, in my opinion, Qui-Gon. He's in the game. Strongly want to play it because of that. You know, and I did see that Jar Jar is a secret unlockable character that they announced later on. So yes, there is. I don't get Mace. Was Mace Windu in Episode 1? I think you see him just when Qui-Gon consults the council, right? So it's pretty funny that he's like a playable character maybe in this one, when theoretically, like I said, you only see him at the council, to my recollection, in Episode 1. Because he only fights in the second in these Episode 2, where like the battle on is it Geonosis? The battle in the pit. But yeah, no, I'm honestly, and for once, Aspire is actually pricing this, I would say, pretty decently. $20 feels okay for this game. Okay. Obviously, I would always like for things to be cheaper, but for once, we're getting one of these Star Wars ports that right away at the beginning has an acceptable price. Because to my recollection, most of the other ones came out at around $30, which just felt too expensive for these games. Color me interested. If the port is well done, this could be a fun time, especially with a friend. There's like co-op in here, and I can see myself blasting my way through Episode 1 with my brother. So I do think this one should definitely be on your radar for this week. Following Jedi Power Battles, we have what I would say is one of the bigger releases for this week. However, I do have a gripe with this game for this week, which we're going to be talking about. And our next game is going to be Guilty Gear Strive, that, yes, is finally making its way to the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is a Nintendo Switch edition, so I don't know exactly how much they will have changed about the game, but this is coming out on January 23rd, and here is my problem with the game. It is going to be sold for $59.99. Yes, it is a full-priced game. And where my problem comes in is that this game came out in 2021 on Steam. Okay, 2021. This is a 4-year-old game, or soon to be 4-year-old game, that we would have to pay full price for. sort of a little iffy on that point. But let's look at the trailer. It looks nonetheless to be a stellar 2D fighter. The Guilty Gear series has some great mechanics. Sorry about that. I'm hoping that the performance on the Switch is going to be up to snuff, however. So let's take a look at the game and see how it shapes up.
Peggy 12.
I'm going to give this my all. You ready?
Then I don't need to hold back.
So this is the trailer for the Nintendo Switch edition. So hopefully this is actual gameplay graphics and give you an idea of the actual performance. Once again, I'm worried about music here, but we'll see.
At least you're enthusiastic. Give me a moment.
I can believe that these are Switch graphics, however, because at some points they're looking a little muddy if you look at them properly. Okay, so look, I'm going to put it on the table. Guilty Gear is one of the best 2D fighting series out there, especially if you like anime style. Okay, it's right up there. However, it's a very deep fighter. So it does have a complex fighting system when you want to fight at high levels. So do be warned about that before jumping in. Like, make sure either you're going to play casually and you're just like messing around. But if you want to be serious about the game, the fighting system is very deep. Now, what I'm just going to say that worries me about this trailer is we don't see a lot of uninterrupted fighting scenes in game. We're seeing a lot of cutscenes. We're seeing a lot of optional stuff. And the fighting scenes that we're seeing are only a few selected seconds that are often parts of like pre-rendered animation. Like they were showing a lot of pre-rendered animation special moves, but we're not seeing the second-to-second fighting, which is where I'm worried that this game might have performance issues on the Switch. However, hopefully, if you trust Arc System Works, they generally don't port a game unless it plays well. I'm hoping it does play well, especially since they're asking $60 for this game. Now, that is the big ask here because $60 is expensive for a game that came out 4 to 5 years ago. But if you've been waiting for Guilty Gear Strive, it is probably one of the best Guilty Gears out there. If it plays well, this can definitely be a great pickup. Honestly, I'd be surprised it gets 60 FPS, and DJ. I'd be surprised. I do think it's going to be targeting 30. But look, I know. That's why we need the Nintendo Switch 2 to arrive. Most likely 60 FPS on the Switch 2. But that was Guilty Gear Strive. And you have my opinions on it. Obviously, maybe wait for some gameplay to be out, a review to be out. Check if the game at least runs well on the Switch. Next, we have a Raven's Watch that is also coming out on January 23rd. Now, this one will be selling for $29.99 for its regular edition or $34.99 for a deluxe edition that comes with some skin packs. This game, if you thought that Tale of Bistun looked like a Diablo-like, well, this one is going to look even more like that. It actually seems to be like a sort of under-theme for this week because we have another game sort of in that genre coming up. But Raven's Watch does seem very interesting. It has some very good reviews on Steam. It's already out on Steam apparently, and it has some pretty decent reviews already. So it is looking up for this game. Let's take a look at the trailer and basically see what it has to offer. This one has a bit more of a Souls-like a feeling though to the combat. I love this sort of like comic book inspired, slightly almost cel-shaded like graphics. I love this. This is one of my favorite graphical styles on the Switch currently. Yeah, it reminds me of Hades or Curse of the Dead Gods, like very, very similar in graphical style. I would say even almost identical to Curse of the Dead Gods. So there we have a Raven's Watch. Honestly, looks very good to me. Basically, I do think they describe it as a top-down roguelike action game that combines intense real-time combat with deep gameplay and high replay value. So we are looking at roguelike gameplay, which is why, like I said, Hades, Curse of the Dead Gods is popping into my head. Apparently, on top of it, there's supposed to be crossplay, as they say here, which could be very interesting as well. Is crossplay going to be absolutely across Steam, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, or is it going to be limited to some of the consoles? That I'm not sure. But I definitely think that this one could also have some very high potential for this week. It is, however, a little bit more on the higher end of the spectrum at $30. But like I said, the graphical style looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, next is a game. It's maybe one of my longer shots for this week. And this game is also coming out on January 23rd. It is called Dance of Cards. This one is going to be selling for $9.99. And I've got to tell you, ever since whatchamacallit, the card game almost won, pretty much won Game of the Year for indie games. Balatro, my God, had a little blank there. Card games or games that have card mechanics have really risen on my watch list because that game surprised me a ton. And this is basically a mix of a card game and sort of like almost a JRPG. So I'm very, very interested in possibly trying out this game. It could have a ton of potential. On top of it, it is only $9.99. So if I had to take a long shot for this week, this would most likely be the game I would take a long shot on. Let's take a look at the trailer and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. Yeah, this one though more mixes in like storyline, almost like a JRPG, and then basically like the interaction sections are like poker games. No, it's no Gwent, but I do think, like I said, this could have some ton of potential. And for a $10 game, this might just surprise a lot of people out there. And card games, like I said, right now, automatically higher up than usual. So my long shot for this week is going to be a Dance of Cards. Guys, once again, maybe wait for a review, but I have a feeling for this one that it might be something special. Pineapple Works also put out a few other games. I have a blank right now which ones, but they generally have some decent offerings. Okay, now we aren't done with January 23rd yet, because another one of, I would say, a game that I'm very excited to try will be Symphonia. That is also coming out on January 23rd, and this one will have a sales price of $19.99. Now, this one gives me very much feelings of Bow Path of the Teal Lotus, however, with a very music-based gameplay. So basically, let's take a look at the trailer. It'll give you a much better idea of what I'm talking about. Then we can discuss it further. Yes. Now, it's unclear whether it's going to be a Metroidvania or just a straightforward action 2D platformer. But one way or the other, I think it can deliver something great. Like, it obviously gives you right away, like, Hollow Knight, but I would say Path of the Teal Lotus, because from the gameplay that you can see here, it seems to be much more platforming-based than necessarily combat-based. Which reminds me, like I said, Path of the Teal Lotus, because most of the difficulty in that game came from the platforming, not the combat. I would almost say Cuphead meets Hollow Knight. Like, there's a way to the movements and the animations that reminds me of Hollow Knight. But the colorfulness of the environments and the sort of whimsical art style does remind me a bit of Cuphead. But this one, I definitely think could have potential. Now, it was delayed because it was originally set for December 5th, was then delayed to January 23rd. So hopefully it won't get a last-minute delay and it will be coming out this week, but also in good shape. But if you're looking for I feel this is going to be a challenging game, okay? They don't say it officially, but I feel like this is going to have a serious challenge level. If you're looking for a challenging 2D platformer, whether it be combat-based or platforming-based, I think this one could definitely be a target for this week. Great game. Symphonia looks like it has a ton of potential. Okay, next we have our final game for January 23rd. We do have one game after this, however, and it is another long shot. Now, this game, I would say, be warned. Okay, be careful. Be careful. Be like not warned, but be careful. Achilles Legends Untold. We have another isometric viewpoint action adventure game. Seems to have some slight Souls-like influences to it. However, I've seen reviews on other consoles and they've been mid-tier, around a 7. However, it still looks like something that could be interesting. This game is going to be releasing, as I said, on January 23rd, selling for $24.99. So for a game that's been receiving 7s, it's a little bit on the high scale. However, let's take a look at the trailer. I did nonetheless find the gameplay to look appealing, so let's take a look together.
In a world consumed by chaos and bloodshed, true heroes emerge. Forged through blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Molded from skilled warriors into an unstoppable force. Meet the hero who defied the gods and rewrote history. Unleashing his wrath upon those who dared oppose him. The hero whose legend has transcended his era. Discover the untold story of the greatest warrior of all. The time has come to tell the tale of Achilles.
So there we have Achilles Legends Untold. I'm getting old school God of War vibes from it. Like it seems to be targeting that kind of style. Like when I'm talking old school God of War, it's like God of War 1 through 3. Okay. I'm getting those kind of vibes, but at the same time, I am a little bit worried because some of the animations, once again, the combat scenes, they showed a lot of cutscenes, but very little uninterrupted combat. That always makes me nervous in trailers, and that's something as a developer, like if you're making a trailer for a game, showing uninterrupted gameplay sort of shows that you have confidence that your game will speak for itself. I do recommend looking, like, you know, at least giving like 10 to 15 sections, 10 to 15 second sections of gameplay, so that as a reviewer, you know, okay, this game seems to be running properly for you know, for a full sort of visual combat section. Giving like 2 seconds cutting away to a cutscene to something else, little iffy. It catches the eye, but it doesn't convince that you're confident that the gameplay of your game will speak for itself. That is what's worrying me a little bit here. The combat at moments looked stiff as well. But I do think that possibly this game could come out and be something interesting. I do think, however, for this one, I would wait for a sale. Okay, $24.99 does feel a little bit on the high end, especially like I said that the game's been receiving 7 on other platforms. But overall, still one I wanted to bring a little of attention to, even if it is have to as a warning to be maybe careful about it. Now, our last game for today is going to be Vermitron, that is releasing on January 24th. It is a budget release selling for only $7.99, but it is a interesting take on an arcade tower defense game, I would call it, or base defense game. I find the visual style interesting. The gameplay looks fun. $7.99 is not a big stretch. This is another long shot for this week, but I have a pretty decent record. When I say it's a long shot, a lot of them turn out to be pretty decent. So let's take a look. So you basically have to protect your flower, set up a base, and set up traps throughout your base. And then bugs are going to try to attack your flower, and you have to basically sort of in real time do what you can to keep your base up and to keep the bugs from eating your flower. Like I said, it's an old school arcade visual style. You have to go water your flower. So there we have Vermitron. Now, as I said, visually, it might not be the most captivating game, but on top of it, who can resist this beautiful digital cat? Come on. His best friend is his kitty cat. You guys love Topaz, you gotta love Vermitron. No, I'm joking. But look, I haven't played the game yet. I'm not sure. But I do think at $7.99, once again, if you're looking for a long shot for this week that could maybe turn out into a little hidden gem, this could be maybe one of those games. But look, we have some great games coming for the Nintendo Switch. It's nice to see things kicking back up on the eShop. If you think I missed out on any games, as in every one of these videos, let me know down below so that I can maybe include it in an update next week. At the same time, if there's any games that are interesting on the list, let me know in those comments down below as well. And as usual, I hope I'll see all of you in my next video. There we go. There we go, guys. It is ready for tomorrow. It is ready for tomorrow. There's no co-op. Steam had to co-op PS5. No co-op, no Switch co-op. What are you talking about, Cham? Sorry, because I tried to... obviously, when I'm doing that section, I'm trying to keep things flowing nicely. But kills a good future. What? Not sure. I'm following you there, my man. The game looks like Rick drew it. Man, Grovel, you're a pain in the butt tonight. Achilles Untold. Okay, so there's no co-op. Steam had co-op. PS5, no co-op. Switch, no co-op. Switch, no co-op. Okay, so you're saying on Switch there's no co-op, but there was co-op on PS5. Okay, that is very possible. Let's go look what the Switch page says. It says online there's supposed to be 2-player co-op. Offline 1-player, but online apparently for Achilles Legends Untold, you're supposed to have 2-player co-op. You know, that I could need to be corrected, but that seems to be the case here. For Raven's Watch, let's go look at the co-op stuff. Raven's Watch. Raven's Watch is actually supposed to support up to 4 players online, local only 1 player. So I'm thinking if you're looking for that kind of game, like a roguelike game, adventuring game for multiplayer, I would say I would go with Raven's Watch more than I would go with Achilles Legends Untold. That's what I'm feeling here. Maybe one day Switch will have co-op with Switch 2. Maybe. Well, the problem with co-op always is that, like, you have to render the 2 scenes separately if you're playing on the same system. It is asking a lot from the console, unless you can play in co-op where you're both, like, you know, playing on the same field. The same field of view. Oh, God. Sorry about that, guys. Getting a little bit of yawniness. We are probably going to end pretty soon, however, just to let everyone know. So if you guys were planning on heading out soon and you want to stay till the end of the stream, we're probably only going to go for another 5 or 10 minutes because I like sleeping. But it is getting a little bit late. And the earlier I get up, the better I can work on the videos tomorrow morning. See ya, Eric. Have a good night, man. But yeah, honestly, I think there's a couple of really high potential games for this week. Like I said, Ender Magnolia, definitely number 1. I would say number 2 after that is Guilty Gear. If we're talking about just like pure, like high grade potential, I'm feeling like after that, I would go with Raven's Watch or Symphonia. Like, to be totally honest, my lowest potential one is Achilles Legends Untold. That would be like my last on the list. I would even put Jedi Power Battles before it, just because for the price, I think there's maybe almost more stupid fun to be had with Star Wars Jedi Power Battles than Achilles Legends Untold. And Vermitron and Dance of Cards being long shots at their price, I would say a little bit earlier. Thank you so much, Eric, man. God bless as well. So yeah, man. Symphonia is 20% off on Steam. Nice. That can be a nice pickup. If you have a Steam Deck, that could be a really nice pickup, I would say, if you want to play like handheld and whatnot. But guys, man, I think tonight was a pretty good stream. Like, I really wanted to go over to Switch 2, you know, in details like that. Obviously, we're going to be talking more Switch 2. I really want to maybe start doing like a watch for what games are coming out on the Switch 2. I'm not sure where I want to fit that in. Like, do I want to do a quick video every now and then when like a batch of Switch 2 games get announced? Or do I just want to sort of fit it into a small section of one of the streams? Not too sure. It just hit me that the C button is a Steam button. I don't know, man. I don't know. It could really be like... I'm trying to think, man. What that C button could be other than that. I'm really like to me it might be like chat community options. Like we might have an all-time like chat or community that you can pop up an overlay on the screen. You know what I mean? Like as you're playing games, because like I said, if that is a mouse, Nintendo might be going all in on like becoming like the online FPS console, like I said, like Marvel Rivals and whatnot. And that could be like the community pop-up button. It could be like, you know what I mean? Like there might actually be like a community overlay for like controlling like who you're talking to and stuff. And it might be like the quick button for that. It could be as simple as that. That there's a dedicated button for that rather than going through the pause menu and shit like that. Where like it just pops up like your list of friends or your list of like your party or whatnot, like that you press it, pops up your party. You can like, you know, if you're in handheld, you can actually like use touch controls to like mute someone or whatnot and stuff like that. Like it could be as simple as that. And I think Nintendo wants to go harder on that for this console. To be honest, I think that where they were at the Switch, it was just not worth doing it anymore. Like, there was no reason to do it. And not only that, I think it would have been a performance issue on the Switch. It would have just made the performance issue even worse. Like, any overlay or pop-up on a game is always going to, like... You have to have, like, you know, room for you have to not be using 100% of your console to do stuff like that. But anyway, hey, I think we're gonna get going, guys. It was a pretty fun stream tonight. I had a ton of fun. I was glad to see you all today. But I do think we're gonna. I'm gonna hit the hay, man. I'm like starting to yawn and get tired and stuff. So thank you so much for everyone for showing up. It was a great stream. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you guys, you know, and if you guys come up with crazy ideas for the Switch 2, drop them in the comments. I love to hear them. I love to see them. And, you know, we can talk about them in a future video. So have a great one, guys. Have a great night. And as usual, I'll see all of you in my next video. Have a great one. See y'all, man.